Welcome back, everyone. Episode 3 of
Funsie.
Yes.
Yo.
Okay.
Sorry, I was
did
a little
it.
early.
It's all good. It's like a 1 second delay. So yeah, welcome back for another episode. We got a very special episode today. First, I want to shout out first and foremost Hooligan Disc. They're the best. They sponsor me. Use code Ben10 on their site. If you want to get anything, they just released some new polos. They have a new thread, a new dime coming in. So it's an exciting time in Hooligan Disc land. So please go check them out.
Yeah, Hooligan is the best. I actually played a tournament this weekend, and Garrett was on my card.
With Garrett.
Garrett's the owner of Hooligan, and he's a really cool guy. So
you didn't play a tournament. You played one hole and then left.
No, we played 2 rounds.
Oh.
But the tournament was put on by my sponsor, Armory Disc Golf.
Yes.
They are also the best. 3 of them are the best. And use code JMillie for 10% off as well.
I thought the round got canceled after one hole. That's what it said on PG Live.
The first day and then the second day.
Okay. Just making sure.
We made it up. Yeah.
That's awesome. Sajko, if you have anything, and if not, we can get...
Yeah, thank you, Hooligan Disc Golf Bra, as always. I don't know if you saw Ben, but Jim ended up having he welcomed in his 3rd child, so congrats to him and his wife.
Congrats, Jim.
Shout out Hooligan and Disc Golf Bra.
And the biggest shout out of all, welcome to the show, Joseph, from another
First
round.
guest.
Yeah, Mr. 305.
Yeah, shout yourself out.
Yeah, my shout out to my sponsor, Waffle House and
Wheaties.
That's my dream.
Wheaties today. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff. I'm cooking on some pretty big stuff.
Shout out books.
Shout out books. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So
this is fun, guys. I'm excited to be on.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is Funsie.
Pumped to have you.
We appreciate you on. Welcome to Funsie, the show where our guest is the host. That's our new catchphrase, I guess. So yeah, let's just get right into it. We're gonna kind of cover Music City first with Joseph. I think that's kind of a unique thing that not a lot of people do. You know, we want to hear disc golf opinions from people in disc golf. So we'll do that, but then after that, we'll get into a full blown Joseph and interview all about him and his brand. So stick around and don't worry.
And if you don't know who Joseph is, the premise is Joseph is the ace king. You've probably seen a video where he aced before, so that is why you should stay, because maybe he'll teach you how to ace.
Here's why it's fitting that I'm on the podcast and that you guys asked me to be the first guest. I saw the video where you guys explained the concept of what the name was and all of that. And like, that is very specifically my thing. That is like the thing I love the most.
You might be the secret 4th member.
even before I owned the store and was just, casual fun disc golfer, I was very known among the people that I played with. It's like, yeah, he's going to throw a second shot. It's just going to happen.
Yep.
And so that is sort of carried over for sure. And I love it because it's the fun of disc golf.
Totally is.
For sure. It's the same deal with Ben. Like, Ben is always going to throw multiple. I don't know. Like I played with Ben a few times, and you're just like, okay. Like, I throw one, and then he's like, is that it? That's all you do? And then he throws literally throws like 10. And then he loses one. You're looking for them.
I have a big problem with losing this as well. Yeah. But.
Well, you're out on a course and you're playing a casual round, and I've played with people, and there's nothing wrong with it. I've got good buddies that do this, but like, they're playing a casual round like they are in the final round of USDGC, and they're marking lies, and they're like that's 100% OB, and you're like, dude, who cares? What are we talking about? We're throwing frisbees.
Yeah, what I always tell people, especially when I'm playing with new people, is like, especially if we're playing a casual round, like, just do whatever makes you have the most fun. Like, people are like, oh, dude, can I just throw this in the fairway, like, and not take a stroke or anything? I'm like, I literally couldn't care less.
Yeah,
like, do whatever makes you have the most fun. Because that's how it'll be enjoyable, unless you're in a tournament, right?
And it's not just for pure enjoyment. The Funsie shot is also, I think, really key to getting better, because if you never have any muscle memory for good shots and all you do is shank something, hit a tree, and then go pitch out and then go throw another bad shot, it's like you're never gonna. If you can throw a bad shot, 2 more shots that try to get you into what that shot shape needs to be. It's like you're developing. If you ever, and the thing that casuals don't understand, I don't think, is that when you go out and play rounds with pros, if they're playing a casual round, they're throwing 17 shots per hole. I mean, it is absurd how many shots they're throwing because they're trying to get better. That's how you develop. So I think Funsie shot is not just Funsie. It's some other word that means getting better.
Well, here's the thing, Joseph. That's literally why I throw funsies. I just want to basically practice as much as I can. I'll throw 7 off the tee because I want to get as good as I can, and that's the time for me to, like, when are you ever going to have a fairway? Only on a disc golf course. So that's kind of what I enjoy doing, and that's why I do it, because I just want to get better at disc golf.
So you're saying that funsies are the secret to acing. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
I mean, certainly yes. Yeah, if you think that if you're trying to ace and you're just going one shot and kind of going through loops of the course, it's probably not going to be successful, would be my guess. Although sometimes it is.
Although you did just do an insane first shot ace. It was pretty incredible. I don't know. Kilbourne, was it? You said? I don't know.
No, it's at Eastway in Charlotte.
Eastway.
So it's like the T sign says 335. I think every local would tell you it plays 370 or something. You're just super stoked to get anywhere in the circle. And yeah, I was playing a doubles round. In fact, I think the round went live on YouTube today with a buddy, and we had to have it. We freaking parred one of the easiest holes on the course, and so the ace made up for it, and then we got to go into the last few holes.
Hey, everyone. So we did have some technical difficulties this episode. Unfortunately, I had to splice the audio dropouts together. It's really unfortunate, and it's not the product that I'm happy with at all, but we had Joseph on. There's still a lot of great content and stuff from this interview and talk. I'd say the dropouts were probably very, very limited and few compared to the grand scheme of the episode, but please just bear with us. I'm trying to figure it out. It's just, there's no solution, and it's just trial and error. But enjoy. It's still a great episode. Thank you so much.
See anything from the tee. And when I was posting, I actually posted the reel last night. And when I was listening to it, I'm 90% sure there's a cut down stump like 40 feet short of the basket. It either skipped off the top of a cut down stump, like literally skipped off the top of something that's the size of a tree trunk, or hit a tree, because there's like a imperceptible little like redirect sound.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's
awesome.
It's definitely top 3 for sure, like aces or moments of disc golf, because it's one where you don't even expect to get close, and then all of a sudden you hear chains and you're like, did somebody just rage putt somewhere? And then like, wait, that was mine? Anyway.
Yeah, no, that actually happened. That happened in my tournament yesterday. The guy on my card, we were playing some long par 3. It was like 380, and you can't see the basket off the tee, but he threw this like pipe job of a forehand. I was like, dude, I think that's going in the bucket. His dad was actually recording, and you can hear me like have my commentary like, that's going to go in. And then it skips up, and we hear chains. And at first we're like, oh, that's someone putting behind us, because there's a basket right behind us. And we turn around and no one's on the hole. And we're like, wait a second. And then they just start, like, he just breaks out in a dead sprint all the way there. It was insane. It was a crazy ace. Almost similar to what you did. Yours might have been a little bit harder.
Full flex. That was insane.
Any ace rules, man. I love that.
All right, so Sajko, actually, I guess we started a new thing, Joseph. We are like, we are 3 episodes in, and we already have, skits and segments and inside jokes and stuff. It's awesome. So this segment is presented by Sajko's Icebreakers.
Yeah, we're acting like we know what we're talking about. We're just kind of feeling it out as we go and just pretending like, oh yeah, no, like that's like the new segment. But yeah, just gonna do a little bit of an icebreaker to start out. So I was thinking, and I want to know what your weirdest experience is on the disc golf course, or your weirdest interaction with a person was on the disc golf course. I have a couple in mind for myself that I can share if you'd like, but if you want to share, by all means.
I've got 2 immediately, and I'll try to make both of them brief.
Take it.
Weirdest thing that's happened to me is there's a course about 5 miles, maybe 3 miles from the shop here, called Sugaw Creek. It's a Indian word or a Native American word, but it's sort of a course that's historically known for. It's right on a main road, and it's kind of in a sketchy area historically, and there's just always stuff. Like one time I was doing kneeling down and doing a putt from a knee, and looked to my right, and there was just a needle sticking out of the ground. It's like that kind of a place. It's not as bad anymore, but a couple of years ago, I for sure walked into a big magnolia tree that is in the middle of a fairway, but like completely covered, and walked into two people really enjoying themselves.
Oh no.
Yeah. And my disc was truly next to them. And it was just like, yeah, I don't own that disc anymore.
Yeah, you can keep that one.
I'm going to leave. But for sure, the weirdest interaction was probably 6 or 7 years ago at Kilbourne, my home course. There's a part it's the farthest part of the course away from everything. You're not around anyone or anything, basically. And so in the middle of the summer, very free reign to take a leak, lots of places to do it. And so I walked back into the woods, respectfully. I'm behind a tree, and I'm peeing, and this guy starts screaming at the top of his lungs. I didn't know he was anywhere around me or close to me, and is like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm just taking a leak." And he's screaming, and when I finally get to the bottom of it, he tells me that I'm peeing on what I'm guessing after the fact is where he buried his dog years ago, and on his dog's grave. And I'm like, brother, there's no headstone. There's no markers. I'm just literally peeing in a spot in the woods. And I thought he was kidding, and he was not. He was 100 out of 100 mad. So
Did he show you where he buried him? It was in the exact spot. Like, what are the odds?
I don't know. I still honestly am not sure exactly what was going on, if the guy was having an episode or something, but it was, I thought about it for about a month afterwards. Like, I don't know what I could have done different. I don't know.
Yeah. How would you know? How would you know?
Exactly. Ben, Josh?
I have one, actually.
Go ahead, Josh. Yep.
So I started playing disc golf in college, down in College Station, Texas. And College Station, Texas is not known to be the nicest neck of the woods. It's a relatively poor town. And one of the popular parks is called Oaks Park. And it's a little 9-hole course that's pretty short, but it's wedged between two pretty low-income apartment complexes. And there's like this river, like not even river, creek running right through the middle of hole 1. And so me and my friends were like still pretty new, and we go play this course because it's short and we can birdie, and that's what feels good in disc golf. And so we were on hole 1 and threw our shots, and there was a bit of a commotion going on like to the left of the fairway, but we didn't think anything of it. And so we start walking down the fairway and like on the sidewalk, and then the whole commotion like moves onto the fairway right in front of us. And it is like, I don't know what was happening, but there was like 20 people on each side of this argument, and there are two ladies in a full fist fight, like just like wailing on each other, and like there are just like little kids all around like cheering, and like I'm just like so confused. And like as we're making our way down, we're just trying to avoid them, and they are just in the middle of the fairway at this point. And I actually have a video that I posted to Reddit that kind of went big back then. But essentially what happened is at one point, one of the ladies went across the creek, and then everyone just like was on the two sides of the creek. And like, they're not fighting anymore, but they're just screaming at each other, just insult after insult. And there's this funny video that I posted where one of my friends is like 5 feet from them, and he's putting, and all you hear is them just going, rah, 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 rah. And then like I turned to my other friend in the video, and he's like, just a normal day on the disc golf course or something like that.
Classic.
And then the video like cuts off. But it was literally such an odd experience. I mean, it was a park in between some low income apartments, and it was pretty popular for it to be a lot of people there. There's basketball courts, there's other things to do like volleyball or whatever. But it was like probably one of the craziest things I've ever witnessed in my life, because those two women were going to town on each other. It was brutal. I was worried for each of them, but they made it out and just screamed at each other the whole time.
So this is you new to disc golf, right? So you're just seeing them and you're like, oh, disc golf's a full contact sport. Okay, cool.
Dude, essentially at that point.
But both of our first two weird stories both involve two people going to town on each other, by the way.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go.
We'll see if it
That's
continues.
wild.
We'll see if it continues. Ben, what do you got?
Dude, so I've been racking my brain as you guys are discussing, and I don't think I have anything.
You're
Surprising.
such a liar.
What? You tell me then.
No, I don't know. But like being at Maple Hill, like there's no, or I don't know, just something.
Dude, nothing sticks out to me right now as in
Come on, Ben.
weird.
There's something with a pro, some story of being out with a pro filming something. What about one of the ace
Yeah,
races?
exactly.
There's got to be something, brother.
I mean, I can share while I have
Yeah,
a
go
couple
ahead.
while
I'm
you
still
think.
racking my brain. Go ahead, Sajko.
So my first one of my local courses, Mohegan Park, it had the course put in probably like 3 or 4 years ago at this point. So it is still fairly new. So before it was a full 18 and it was still just a 9-hole course. Before I was coming down 9, which is now hole 18, like the fairway, and I look over to my right and I'm like, why is there like an ambulance and like a bunch of police? Like, what's going on over here? And then later on found out that there was like a dead body over there, like just on like the side of it. Yeah. So like someone had died, and I believe they buried them along the side of hole 18's fairway. So needless to say, I didn't play there for like a
What do
decent
you
amount
mean
of time.
buried them? Was this like a murder case?
I don't know all the
Memorial?
details, but that's
Like-
what it felt
Yeah,
like.
was it a
dog
memorial or just like a
situation?
dumped body?
No, like dumped body. Sort of.
Okay.
Tough.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
more sense.
Yeah. And then my other one was I was playing at Brooklyn, which is right up the course
New
right up
York.
the road from me.
Yep.
Yeah, Brooklyn, New York. And I threw my disc, and then all of a sudden a red-tailed hawk like swoops down from a tree and tries to grab my disc out of midair like it was like preying on something, and it knocks it like directly down into the ground right below it, but then it keeps flying like to another tree just farther on in the forest. Like I had it on video, but then I accidentally ended up deleting it. So I'm kind of bummed
What?
about that.
No.
But yeah, that was a pretty wild story as well.
So-
How did you delete that, dude?
That's content creator problems. He was probably
Yeah.
clearing space.
yeah,
Mm,
exactly. Exactly.
True.
All right,
That
Ben.
That's pretty. Those are
Yeah,
crazy.
dude, I got nothing. I'm sorry. I'll have to if it spurs into my brain, but I think my disc golf course experience has been pretty tame. I mean, I maybe it's cause like you said I play at Maple Hill. I don't think there's gonna be any like random people there or random things. I don't play too much at public parks. I guess we don't have really any park style courses around here. It's more just like disc golf courses that are free or pay to play, and that's where you go there to go. Other than like Buffinville Dam, which is a dam, but it's just you just walk on the dam, so there's nothing crazy there. So yeah, unfortunately, I'll have to think about it. If I come up with something next week, I'll bring it up. But I got nothing.
Cool.
Sorry.
I just sent Sajko and Joseph the video. You guys can watch that at your leisure, but
I can't
Perfect.
wait.
I was
you
wondering what that
you
was.
might not want to have the sound on because there is some cursing from
Yeah.
the people at each other.
I'm gonna. By the way, now is at my leisure, so but it'll have no sound. But I have to see this immediately.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, this will end up in a reel at some point. Don't worry.
Okay,
I mean, probably
perfect.
not, but like,
Well, you could probably get
just
the
bleep it
Reddit
out.
clip, or I mean, get the clip. Not the Reddit
Yeah,
clip.
yeah,
He just
true.
sent it to you. Dense.
sweet. I'm gonna keep them coming. Hopefully.
All right.
Perfect.
So
All right.
on to Music City. And Joseph, you know, I told you we're gonna bring up Music City, and I'm excited to hear your opinions on this. So on the FPO side, start with FPO, we had Kristen Tatar taking it down over Holland Hanley, basically, by 4 strokes. And Holland was leading the charge. I believe they were tied after round 2, but I personally chose Holland Hanley to win the event. So obviously I was rooting for her, and I was very excited. But that third round, Kristen's just so consistent. You could just see Holland was messing up here and there. That double bogey that was late, kind of in the back half of the 9. And it was pretty much a sealed deal. Like, I don't think Kristen would have messed up that badly to lose the lead. But the thing I want to focus on, even more importantly, is it's Kristen Tatar 13 down, Holland Hanley 9 down. Third place is Henna Blomroos even. Fourth place is Ella Hansen +4.
To me, it just feels like it's obviously Kristen versus the world right now. It's like she's the prohibitive favorite. If she's alive and in the tournament, she's going to be the favorite until somebody else steps up. And on the MPO side, there's like 10 or 15 guys every single week that can win. That you're going, this is But for the FPO side, it's like 3 or 4 maybe. It's that's the thing that really sticks out to me with FPO is that it's just she's dominating right now. She's in like Tiger in her prime kind of mode, in his prime kind of mode right now.
Yeah, well, we saw last event she won by 9 strokes, I believe, which is absolutely absurd that this is happening. How dominant she can be. I know there's a question like, is Kristen not going to be as dominant? And in the first few events, it was kind of, hit or miss. She didn't win every event like we expected. But yeah, now it's pretty clear with just the strokes that she is winning by in these events that she's definitely a league above the rest. And it's going to take someone to shoot a very special round just to catch up with her kind of consistent, Kristen type rounds. Sajko, you got anything on that?
It was bizarre because I believe Kristen ended up, didn't she bogey holes 1 and 3 to begin with? So then Holland pulled ahead, and you're like, oh, this could be it.
Yeah, this could be
it. But then Holland ended up, she started to give back strokes, quite a few, and then I believe she made a push again, right? And it came down to hole 15 where she was a little bit out of position, and she had to do like a sidearm approach that was a little bit obstructed. And you're like, oh, if she gets this, she has a chance. But then she throws it and she saws it off a little bit and goes straight OB. And then at that point, that's when I was like, yeah, it's probably done. It's probably over.
I think that's what I was referencing on 16, the double
16.
OB, where it was pretty much like, all right, that's a wrap. It was kind of close, but once that was thrown away, it was kind of like, like. Matt always says he wants to see these exciting comebacks from Kristen. And I will say it was kind of sort of a comeback round 2. I mean, she was down by, I believe, 4 strokes. And she came back. But the third round, it was kind of, at a certain point, it was kind of like, okay, it's going to happen again. So we'll see what happens.
1,000 rated, isn't she?
I think so.
She has to be.
She's definitely going to be.
It's
she
incredible.
Averaged 10-17 on this event, and she's at 999. And last event, I think she averaged over 1,000 as well. So she's got to be.
Here's a fun thought experiment. Obviously this wouldn't happen, but Bill Simmons always talks about if there's a sports czar that makes decisions for the entire sporting world to make things more interesting. Imposing trades that otherwise would never happen, but just to make things more parity. How many strokes should Kristen to make it like a really compelling event? How many strokes over par would Kristen have to start every event with? More than 5?
Definitely. I think more than 5. I think so.
I'd say probably 6 or 7 over par to start every event. And then the fun of the tournament would be watching her claw her way back. And then she gets to 16 or 15 or 16 on the final day. Like she's only 2 back. She's only 1 back, But I mean, I think that's how dominant she is.
Yeah, it's FPO's been the wild west. I feel like other than Kristen's pretty secure, but you never know. One event, Ella Hansen is like she's the next big thing, and then next event falls off. Same with Holland, Henna, Evelina, all these players. It's just like you never know where these people are going to finish. We had Maria Oliva finish pretty well last event, and she finished plus 37 in 35th place. So just that kind of swing, it's kind of like it's so hard to kind of predict who's gonna be pushing Kristen that particular event.
It's crazy because on the MPO side of things, you're talking about 6 or 7 strokes, meaning everything, for
Top
seeding.
25 is within 6 or 7.
Yeah, and then that, because like Maria's an incredible player, but
Yes.
it just shows you where Kristen is at right now.
Correct.
And obviously Holland's got all the tools. She can do it, but golf is such a between the years game. And so the fact that Kristen is not just like physically dominant, she's got she's got a great sidearm, she's got a great backhand, great putting, ice cold, but she's also just like, she really plays smart, tactical golf. She makes the right decisions in the right moments. She's really level headed. She's European. She's going and doing salt rooms and all whatever else kind of wellness stuff that she does in the off season, taking ice baths. And she comes out and she's just like, she's unfazed by these moments. You can tell, like, she's not rattled. I can't remember what year, a few years ago when her and Paige were going back and forth, and she ends up finishing the round crying. She kind of crumbled. I can't remember what course it was. Those moments aren't happening anymore. She's like poised at a level that it's hard to beat. So
yeah, the question isn't like who's going to win this tournament. It feels like right now it feels like who's going to battle Kristen for this tournament,
Yeah, right.
Which is a pretty crazy thing to say. Just shows how dominant you are.
Yeah, and Missy and Owen have won this year, and so like it's obviously not like she's
True.
winning truly every event,
Yeah.
but it's hers to lose if it's what it feels like.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier on. It was kind of like I was saying like the FBO field is kind of insane right now. Like I think Kristen's not going to win as much, but these past 2 events have kind of teetered the other way. But I still am optimistic. I mean, we're seeing these incredible young talent that we haven't seen actually start making the push, like Holland Hanley, Silva Sodanen, Rebecca Cox has been playing. I keep mentioning her, has been playing incredible after her average finish last year. So shout out to her. Allie Smith, Leke. So there's all these people that we've kind of always known about in the FBO field, but they haven't been really making that push. But this year, that I've been excited to see. There's a lot more players playing solid. So hopefully there'll be more kind of competition, as if there was the events before this, where it was kind of pretty tight and we were seeing all sorts of different names on in the top 10.
I'm excited to see a little bit more of a European like dominance or presence because obviously there's Kristen, but then you have like Henna and Evelina.
The person that I want to watch the most is I think her name is Ellie Ezra. She's the DGA player this year.
Yeah.
She just like there's something, obviously I just said that a lot of disc golf is just between the ears, but there's also a part of it where one of the reasons that Paige was so dominant for so long is because she was just more physically dominant than everybody. She could throw farther than everybody in the field. And dude, Ellie Ezra is like, she rips. And so if she kind of rounds out her game and starts to play consistent golf, I think that she's the kind of next thing that could really take over. I don't know. It just depends on, how she develops.
No, yeah.
She's super young. I think she's 18, right?
16, I think.
Yeah, not even 16.
Yeah, I've been super optimistic on her because, she has 500 feet of power, which is like in the FBO field
absurd.
Is incredible. And it's exactly that. Figuring out the putt, figuring out kind of the soft touch and all that. And yeah, I think she's going to be forced to reckon with. even if you give her 10 years, she's only gonna be 26. If she actually dedicates herself in those 10 years and keeps touring, I mean, I think she's personally could be the next Kristen if she sticks with it, because the way she throws
She could have
is incredible.
She could have the AB arc where he was the Wonder Boy and whatever, and you still realize that, like, it hit me this year, like, oh, he's still unbelievably young. Like, he's been around for a long time, but he's still so young. And of course, now this year, everything's clicking. It's like he's got the monkey off his back. He knows how to win now. So,
yeah, and that's what he when we interviewed him, that's what he said. It's kind of like once he did it once, it was kind of like, all right, I did it. I can do it again, and now he feels comfortable. Where it's like that European Open hole 16 pressure is no longer there for him. It's more like, it's just a shot. I've done it before. Let's do it.
Ben, you're a Celtics fan, aren't you?
Yes, sir. You can see it right there. Go Celtics.
Yeah. It's like Tatum. When Tatum wins a championship, it'll be like the thing that unlocks 3 or 4 championships for him, because he will have gotten there and done it.
And
except he will never win a championship.
He will this year.
Hey, I love your team too. I took my son to see the Mavs play the Hornets, and the Hornets are truly, and I mean truly, awful. And Luka scored 29 points in
the first quarter, right?
Yeah, with 3.5 minutes left in the first quarter.
Yeah,
bro.
I filmed a reel pregame of Luka and Kyrie screwing around, doing like fake dunks, or like they were throwing it off the side of the backboard and acting like they were going to.
I saw that. Yeah, I've seen that.
Just, I have no idea why, but just immediately in my DMs the next morning, it was like SportsCenter, ESPN, Barstool.
Wait, that was
Bleacher
you?
Report. Yeah.
He posted it. Yeah.
No.
Dang.
Oh,
I commented on the video and I was like, oh, didn't know Another Round was a fan of the Mavs or something like that.
Well, I am a huge fan of Luka. That's why I took my son to the game. I was like, I want Zeke to see these two guys play live. And live sports rule. We can bring it back to disc golf.
Live sports. And when Tatum wins, he's only going to be 19, so it's going to be an incredible time. Super young. Let's bring it back to the MPO field. Storyline, Simon Lizotte absolutely dominated the field in a fashion that we don't really see as often. You know, it's normally like last event, we had 4 guys that we thought were going to go into a playoff until the last hole. This one, it was pretty clear. It was Simon all the way. It's so funny because he was saying, like, whenever he feels bad, he plays good. It's maybe it's some mental thing, but yeah, it was.
He said it forces him to slow down.
Yeah,
and that makes sense. He's not ripping. Sense. He's like, it takes the pressure off. It's like not studying for a test. I had a teacher tell me this one time. She's like, the reason that you don't study and you slack off is because if you do incredible, you can tell yourself you're a genius. And if you don't do good, you say, I didn't study. So it's a completely no-lose situation.
He had no expectations. And when you have no expectations, it's much easier to excel. You know?
That's right.
But yeah, he was pretty much hitting every putt he could see. There's some highlight putts of like 60 feet. It was incredible. But another storyline here is Paul Macbeth. Is he back? Yeah. What do you think, Joseph?
He never left. I'll tell you that right now. He's had a legitimate injury, and so he's kind of nursing that. He also only wakes up really for big tournaments. He's done everything in disc golf. So I can assure you, at every major and at Worlds and at USDGC this year, he's going to be in the mix. He's still the best golfer on tour. He is not as physically dominant as he once was. But if I'm a MPO player, I'm still terrified of Paul Macbeth. And I think the big storyline for me this week was that the top 5 looked like we were in 2014 again. It was like Big Germ and Simon and Paul, and it was nice. It was kind of nostalgic.
Yeah, Big Germ up there is a shocker for sure.
Oh, with that sick putt on 18 to close it out and take tied for 5th.
He has always been. Yuli will tell you this. Sexton will tell you this. just get out of the car, no stretching, start throwing. Like just there's no preparation. There's no like, I'm going to approach this like an athlete. He could just, Germ would be good. He would have been great as a college basketball player. He has like a high aptitude for sports stuff. And if he's feeling good and his body feels right and he's not, doesn't give himself the yips, he could still win big tournaments. He's still unbelievable.
Yeah, that was actually one of my notes that I wanted you to like talk about. Just like Big Germ, he's been playing pretty solid this past event, even the event before. It's kind of very nice to see. He's been a staple in the sport for years, and we've always known him as the Jomas commentator guy. And he didn't have a totally great season, probably up to his expectations last year. But he just won Persimmon Ridge, Music City Open. Is it the year of Germ? I hope so. I like Big Germ. I've been fortunate enough to meet him a few times and talk to him and befriend him.
If he's, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say I feel like he doesn't get the respect that he deserves because I feel like, including all of us, just coming in pretty much after COVID, we didn't really see like him win like a bunch of tournaments and stuff like that. But people forget that Big Germ's he's disgusting. So it's still in there somewhere, I'm sure.
U.S. champion.
Yeah, he won USDGC. He's got, he did the distance competition this year with a Halo Boss, and he threw like 657 or 640 or something. So he's got like 600 plus feet. He's 38. He's got 600 plus backhand distance, and he throws a forehand still better than anybody else on tour. He's got every shot shape.
Guy.
Good Lord.
And so it's always been a mental thing. It's if he cannot have the yips. You saw it with Simon this week. So much of disc golf is the juxtaposition of watching the Masters and then watching disc golf and seeing how easy putting is in disc golf. Like if you can get within 40 feet and be consistent and make putts, like you're going to dominate. Like it's possible to be not even really all that precise on your second shots and still score well, which in golf is impossible. So if you're hitting putts and you can hit crazy lines, and it would, like, legitimately, it wouldn't surprise me if Germ won USDGC this year.
Woo. I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. We're speaking of Big Germ. He's one of the, I guess, older people on tour. But we also see, some of these young guns that I've kind of known about for a little bit, getting up there and finishing top 10. We got Ty Love, Silas Schultz, to name a few, and then we got Cole Redolin in 13th place. Yeah, any thoughts on that? Kind of these guys we kind of always knew had game. It was just kind of figuring it out. I probably honestly mentally, but what do you guys think about that?
I feel like it's just getting more and more difficult to make picks every week for our MPO picks because you just don't know. Like you can always go with the most consistent individuals, but even like we saw Gannon like last round. His putt is off. Like he's struggling. But it is funny hearing the announcers joke about, the moment that his putt is off, he always says how his putt feels like crap, and then he wins the next week.
He always does that. That is true.
Yeah.
Gannon has the weirdest putting form. It's so timid and so like stabby, and like he doesn't know when he's about to putt and all that kind of stuff. He's obviously incredible, but like he's going to figure something out with putting. Like one of the biggest flexes in disc golf to me is that Macbeth never marks his lie for putts. He just walks up, stands behind where he is. It's like it communicates to everybody else like that extra foot matters zero to me. And so if Gannon gets to the point where he's stepping up to putts and not doing the like all the fidgets and the 100 chalk things and all that kind of stuff, he's got everything, and he's still not even throwing, like he's still playing a game where he is like imposing his will on discs, where he's throwing force overs with crazy overstable stuff. He was really doing that a lot with Prodigy, just throwing those like weird Nico lines and Heiser rips where you really don't have to have much touch. You're just bludgeoning the disc. When he gets to his like, I'm not 18 anymore, and I'm not going to just throw my body around as hard as I can every throw, he's going to be a problem because he's like 6'6" and he's 11 years old. So when he gets to a point where he's like starting to mature, it's going to be dangerous. Him and AB are going to be the thing, I think, for the next 5 years. And I think AB's like the Macbeth parallel, although he's a lot bigger. And then Gannon is like the new Ricky.
Yes. And Gannon actually, that's a good point you made, Joseph. Gannon himself said he just feels terrible from like that 200, 250 soft touch type of range. And it's something he's always struggled with that I've talked to him about, given Gannon struggling is still 10, 20.
Better than everybody else.
Yeah, it's better. But yeah, that's something he's always kind of struggled with, always holding the power grip, kind of extending it like he's doing his normal form. You know, we see guys like, I personally think that's why Simon is so like brilliant. It's like he doesn't some shots he doesn't have to pull back. He just looks at his target. He goes like just all the spin and whatever close to his chest. He doesn't have to reach back really and look back. I think that is a huge advantage. Tell us.
It's ace running. It's throwing Funsie shots.
Yep.
If you throw, he and I sat together at Yuli's wedding, and we talked about this a bunch, about all the ace running stuff. And if you throw 150 shots trying to ace, at some point, every extra motion, all the like superfluous stuff in a throw is going to fall off because you don't want to do that over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And so you go brain off. There's no big pauses before run-ups. You're just chucking the disc. It's just snap, 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 snap.
Ben, were there any other things that you want to cover for Music City?
Yeah, I mean, sorry. So the audio's, I'm kind of struggling with the audio. I'm trying to make it sure so nothing's dropping, so I keep checking things on the back end. Yeah, I mean, Sajko, if you can go ahead. You had a few things you have on the show notes with the injuries and T-pads and the threat you can cover, and so I'll let you lead that, and then we'll get into the Joseph interview.
Yeah, I think the first thing I wanted to start with was talking about Chris Dickerson and his injury update. I'm not sure if any of you guys ended up seeing that, but to cover it briefly, ever since the Pro Tour Championship at the end of last year, ever since then, it's kind of been bugging him. And all the offseason he did PT on it, and he said he felt about 90% better. But then he was recommended to go get an X-ray and found out that he actually has like osteoarthritis developing in his hip, and it's to the point where
it's like bone loss, right?
Yeah, so he's also not getting.
He's not getting. Die. It's gonna die. It's part of his hip.
He's not getting blood supply to his hip, so it's actually like part of the bone is actually deteriorating and dying away. Which reading that, it like broke my heart. Like it really did, because
so sad.
Chris Dickerson has always been. I mean, regardless of who it happens to, it's still upsetting. But Chris Dickerson has always been that player that he's just like a soft-spoken guy and just puts his head down and just gets it done. So to read that from someone who I'm sure he doesn't really wear his emotions on his sleeve, like this is someone that you assume everything is fine, but behind the scenes, like he's struggling inwardly, and then felt the need to share that. So really, really upsetting to read that. Really, I commented on the post just to like give any sort of positive vibes out there, but I mean, there's only so much that you can do.
Yeah, it was a sad read, and it's like, dang, it sucks. But then he came out at Music City Open and finished so well. That was so impressive.
That's what confused me, because he said I should still be able to play just fine, and it's like, how?
That's the tough part, is that it's basically like there's nothing you can do, so just keep doing it, managing your pain, and then at some point he's going to need a hip replacement.
Right.
Is what I think is what the post
said. At 50 years old is when
they're trying to prolong
Hopefully.
it until
Hopefully.
50. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it just hurts to see. And then, I mean, while we're still talking about injuries, obviously Eagle McMahon ended up dropping out. Was it reaching for something in his car? Just like some random thing, and he pulled his back?
Yes.
Yeah. What a random turn of events. But I mean, probably smart, I guess. He, don't force the issue, but coming in for next week for a major, for that being your first tournament back, I mean, that has to be horrifying a little bit. with discs that you just haven't. I'm sure he's been practicing, but he hasn't been on the Pro Tour yet practicing with them.
I think the reason he dropped, because he did the practice round in front. I guess Pro Tour's doing a new thing, which is really cool. Honestly, I'd pay. I think it was like $10 to watch pros practice round on Thursday. I'd pay that just to see, you know, them throw shots. I'm a fan of form and the game. But I think kind of what you highlighted, I think the reason he dropped Champions Cup, he has greater things on his mind. He doesn't want to risk any tweaking his back. I mean, we saw guys like Mason Ford not even show up to Music City Open to just start practicing for Champions Cup. This is a big deal to a lot of players. It's a major. It's a newer major, so there's not as much prestige behind it, but it's a big deal. And I think that's probably why could he have probably played through the pain and done it? Yes, but I don't think he was risking it for a Champions Cup. He wants to win another major. So does everyone else. So he was just giving a rest, and he's like, you know what? I got eyes on the prize. Simon can have this one.
It is a crazy time because I feel like if we were to just go down the leaderboard for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, I mean, you're just like, oh, look at this person, injured. So you've got Macbeth, you had Wysocki with his Lyme disease, you had, I remember Kyle Klein, like his back was hurting, and
Yeah.
He DNF'd, by the way. Why did he DNF? Do you know?
Oh no, I don't.
Yeah, I saw it on the stats down at the bottom.
Yeah, it's there's just so much that we don't know.
You know, they're going to these places, and some of the events are 4 rounds. Sometimes they're doing filmed practice rounds with, you know, either with Pro Tour, with other pros. A lot of them have their own YouTube channels. They're getting, you know, 1 or 2 travel days. It's a grind, and so, you know, it even highlights even more how sad and ironic it is that Dickerson got hurt, because he was the one that was like, I don't do the West Coast swing. I'm opting out of the grind of this and trying to do it a little more selectively, and even still. So yeah, it is a weird thing. And I don't think that the Pro Tour is going to look the same 3 years from now as it does right now in terms of the number of events. I think the majors are going to continue being highlighted. A couple of the elite things will be, you know, more prominent, but I think at some point people are going to go, I'm not driving to Peoria to play, you know, something that's not a major. Obviously that's what they're doing right now, because they moved it. But yeah.
Yeah, and that happened to Chris because he ended up slipping on a tee pad at the end of last year, which
Yeah.
I also wanted to touch on the tee pads at Music City Open this year. So I ended up watching the Ezra practice round, and him with Tristan Tanner and Aaron Gossage were saying, are these the best tee pads that we've ever played on for the Disc Golf Pro Tour? I was really talking them up, and it was I believe it was like short turf with wood underneath, and they're very long and wide, and they thought they were perfect. But then you go over and you watch like Paul Macbeth and Jerem, and they're complaining how high up they are, and you feel like you're going to fall off the front, or it feels like a trampoline. I don't really know if there is an ideal tee pad.
If it's new turf, it feels like you are, you know, can't walk through it. There's no speed. It just feels really grippy and grabby. And then also sometimes when it gets wet, it feels like it's even more slippery than concrete. So I don't know, but I do think that the Pro Tour needs to standardize at least tee pads, if not baskets. The baskets part of it is probably not going to be a thing because so many of the companies are trying to, you know, promote their baskets, and it's part of their deals, sponsorship. But it is kind of wild to me that we don't have a standardized basket. It'd be like basketball goals looking different. What are we doing?
So
Yeah,
I can kind of help you. I believe the turf that was used is Xcept Pro turf made by Disc Concepts, and I believe the Pro Tour recently announced that if you use turf on the at a DGPT event, it has to be the Xcept Pro. So I believe that's what they use at Music City, and I think they are standardizing now.
Good.
That is the turf you will have to use. That doesn't say like Maple Hill is not going to be turfed up now. If you're using, you know, concrete or pavers, you can still use that. But if it's going to be turf, it's going to be the Xcept Pro. And I'm glad people were liking it, because if that's what's going to be standardized, then, you know, kind of hoping that they like it.
Yeah, my opinion is it always seems like the complaint is it's typically like multiple fold, but it feels like everyone is always like it's not big enough. So like just make sure the tee pads are big enough or like too big, you know. I don't know. Like just err on the side of making the tee pads too big, and I think a lot of the complaints will be either smaller or not non-existent. And in my opinion, I've always liked like concrete, but concrete can get slick or slidey if it's been worn down or it wasn't poured properly. So I like a concrete that has grip to it, you know, a certain mixture or like, you know, whatever concrete does.
Yeah, nice textured concrete. I know what you're saying, because that's what I would say for mine as well. Cool.
Let's talk more about concrete.
Yeah, please.
I was about to say-
welcome into the new Sajko section, concrete. No, I think we do have to touch on the threat that happened in, I think it was round 2. I don't know of another situation where this has happened in the disc golf pro. Like, do you guys?
No, I've never seen an event in my short stint canceled because of a threat.
Yeah. I mean, first time as far as I know. But I think just to say it kind of quickly, regardless of how any of us feel about transgender participation in sports, I think this pretty much goes beyond like where you stand on that argument. I mean, to threaten a person and not only put the person that's threatened in harm's way, but the entire event in harm's way. Like there's just no room for that in this sport or any sport, really.
Do you want to explain exactly what happened for maybe someone that wasn't keeping up with it live?
Yeah, so I wasn't actually watching live when this happened. I was out and about doing whatever I was doing, and then I ended up going on Instagram, and I saw that someone had shared that I think I saw Kona Panis's story was saying I guess they were out there on the course, and then they heard like 6 air horns go off simultaneously, and they're like, is that for a thunder or something like that? And no one knew what was going on. So they all went back to their vehicles, and then I guess they found out that someone had called in a threat towards a player, which we later ended up finding out was Natalie Ryan. So then they were doing an investigation. I don't know how long they ended up lasting for, but yeah, kind of scary when you don't know what's going on.
I mean, I don't know of any occurrences. Well, you know, like Ben said, I haven't been in disc golf long enough to know of any disc golf occurrences, but I don't know of many major like sports, like regular sports events that have had something like this happen before. I mean, I'm sure they've had threats, but I don't know, not to the level of having to cancel something crazy like this. And at least
we're out of their way to like call it in and bring harm to the event itself.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty absurd.
I hope they investigate it. I mean, ultimately, whether it's somebody that's doing these like troll things, like people that do the swatting, stuff or whatever.
That's what I was gonna say.
Whether it's something like that or whatever, it's like you were saying, Sajko, it's if you, regardless of what your position on this is, if you, Ben, are you laughing that I call him Sajko?
Yeah,
I was smiling about it 'cause
sticking.
I was like, oh, this is taking off.
I'm doing it. Yeah. It's like, regardless what your position is on this, in terms of fairness or whatever, it's like you totally invalidate everything if you're talking about bringing violence to the course. And it's like the easiest thing to condemn in the world. It's like, regardless of your position, there shouldn't be an ounce of hate or that kind of energy behind it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Completely.
Yeah. I'll
Super
just
sad.
speak briefly on. Yeah, I'm with all you guys. Whatever side you're on, it's not okay. Just the threat. There's no problem solving with it. There's no happiness with it. It just causes a lot more pain for everyone. I mean, people probably were genuinely scared for their lives, all because someone was just making. I'm gonna guess it was probably more like Joseph saying, like a swat, just an empty threat, just to like kind of provoke, you know, and
Right.
And stuff like that. But you know, it affects people's lives, and definitely not cool. And you know, it's just like whether you agree or not, you know, humans are still humans. We're all human at the end of the day, and whether you agree with it. It's not okay in any circumstance to ever threaten to like basically threaten anyone's lives to whatever it may be, to hurt, maim, kill, whatever. It's not okay. And I think as a disc golf community, I'm pretty sure we all stand on that side that what happened this weekend wasn't good, but I think it also wasn't the majority of it. Was just I'm guessing probably one person just trying to stir up some things, and I'm pretty devastated around kind of just like how people can have that much hate in their hearts over another human being that at the end of the day, that's what we are. And
yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter with like the size of the stage, even on our tiny sport. I mean, hate still finds a way in. Yeah,
exactly. It's it's just crazy that someone would threaten I'm guessing it was like threatening someone's lives. But yeah, just I guess we can stop it here, but I guess I'm kind of like discombobulated because it's just like unfathomable in my head personally how someone could do something like that, stopping a whole event and threatening so many people's lives, all just to hurt one person's, I guess. It's just crazy.
Okay. How do we transition?
And now we go. Okay. No.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something important. Obviously, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, completely.
Unfortunately, that happened, and but yeah, let's get. Somehow we've already gone an hour into the show without even interviewing Joseph. That's just how much we love talking, apparently.
This is crazy.
But yeah, let's go.
Now begin the Joseph interview section.
This is going to be 2 hours at least, right? My part?
Yes. No, honestly,
we can just higher end of like our notes if you want.
This is going to be a little longer of a Funsie episode for sure. So I'll just start.
Feel free to make this as brief as you want it to be.
No,
it doesn't.
No, we're here. We're doing it.
We have you here. You're busy, man. We're like talking to disc golf's Elon Musk. Like we gotta use our time wisely. So, Joseph, obviously, first off the bat, tell us about yourself, what you do, who you are, to anyone that might not know who you are.
Yeah. My name's Joseph. I own Another Round Disc Golf. I think that there could potentially be a misconception or people that don't realize that Another Round is not just the name of my personal disc golf Instagram, just because of the nature of how much stuff that I'm posting, or we're posting of me, which is changing, thankfully. Yeah, we're a national retail brand. We've got 5 stores now across the country: Charlotte, Asheville, Denver, Salt Lake City, and Greenville, South Carolina. And I am the guy that's, for most people, that you see throwing on your Instagram For You page or when you're scrolling reels. So,
yeah, and for people that don't know, Another Round has another half, Kyle. So Joseph's just the
better
guy.
half.
Joseph's the guy on the camera, but he has a partner.
Yeah, Kyle and I took over May 1st of 2019. He and I are college roommates, and this was our big swing that we wanted to take together. I got him into disc golf. He got more into it than even I was, playing tournaments all over the place. And he was working a job selling, not technically selling soap, but it was like a commercial soap company that he was in some high level, executive role in, but was soulless and he hated it. And so we said, let's take a big swing on this whole Frisbee thing and see what happens. So
what was the college degrees that you guys pursued, and now you're in disc golf?
Kyle was in sports management, which
okay.
kind of fits. He worked for the Detroit Tigers for a while.
That's cool.
Played some
really cool.
Some non-NFL but pro football, some arena football and stuff like that. And then I went to school for pastor stuff, so that's what all the books are.
Nice. Yeah.
Sweet. And no, that I was just changing some settings. Oh no. Anyways,
Doing.
sorry, I'm changing some
Idiot.
settings because like the voice just doesn't match them. I'm working on it, guys. Yeah. So let's just dive into kind of more about another round in you. You know, that's what I'm interested in. Obviously, I'm also a businessman in disc golf. So my questions are kind of more, I guess, brand oriented. So my first question is, how do you personally constantly create content? Does it ever drain you? And how do you balance the business side of another round with that creative side that honestly drives the business to even it's I think for another round it's like half and half. It's like the creative side leads to the sales of the disc side, but the creative side is as important as the sales side, even if you're not making as much on the creative side, if that makes sense. So how do you kind of balance that?
Yeah. So when we just bought the store in Charlotte in 2019 in May, and then obviously pandemic hit March 2020, we thought we were going to lose the store, lose everything. Didn't have any idea that it was going to be the best thing that ever happened to disc golf, you know.
Literally.
But so we went from trying to focus on, you know, fixing the reputation of the place locally, be the best disc golf store for Charlotte. And so the only way I knew how to do that to make a name for ourselves outside of Charlotte was to start posting content. And, you know, it was during the pandemic. So what the heck else was I doing? And so I started going out and shooting stuff and promoting discs and trying to sell stuff online. And it started to really take off. Like, just like talking about Simon, kind of whittling down his form. Same thing with content. You start doing a bunch of stuff, you start doing full playthroughs and all that kind of crap, and you realize like, oh no, people want to see cool shots and they want to see aces or close to aces or really bad shots. And so so I started doing this micro stuff and filming Instagram reels and posting them all the time. And it took off and started to build more of a national reputation, started to get a lot more people interested, started selling a lot more stuff. And then the bigger plan for us nationally was these franchises. And that kind of went hand in hand with the content stuff, because as we got more of a name nationally, people were more aware of the brand and the name and all that kind of stuff. It helped us grow the franchise stuff. And so, you know, to your first part of your question, do you ever get drained from it? Is it tiring? How do you post so much? Yes, it's tiring. Yes, it's too much. And that's why I said at the beginning, I'm trying to not be the, you know, the internet Frisbee circus clown person online for the rest of my life. It's been something that like I'm really grateful for. I've been really thankful to be able to do, and that people enjoy it. Like Nathan, I think you were at the Northeast Disc Golf Expo this year.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, Ben, you put it on, and like I had this moment where it's me and Paul Macbeth next to each other behind the booth in the Discraft thing, and we're releasing a disc, and Paul's got his Kratos that he's releasing, and he and I are signing discs together, and like 3 times, and I've made fun of him for this quite a bit because it's probably the highlight of my disc golf career. People walked past Paul Macbeth to get my signature, which is the weirdest, most surreal, dumb thing that's ever happened. And I was like, you know, that guy's won like 6 world championships, but like, well, you know, we wanted this disc or whatever. So like all of that stuff is really humbling and weird and whatever. And so I'm very thankful for it. But I think as we're growing as a business and we're starting to really pick up the pace with these franchises, you know, the possibility of me being the guy that's out on disc golf course throwing and being online every day is becoming less and less possible. It'll still keep happening to a degree, but I'm trying to not differentiate, but kind of spread the focus away from just being me throwing and into being you know, more on the brand, bigger picture, and all the people that we sponsor and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a weird deal.
Yeah, and I've definitely noticed it kind of you're like kind of the disc golf house of highlights or sports center, where it's
Yeah.
like if something's popular, you get it and share it to a wide audience. And I think that's a really cool content strategy that you've kind of adopted. And, you know, you guys have grown your brand enough to kind of get there to that point where it's like, yeah, like ESPN hitting you up about Luka, it's probably like, yeah, no brainer. That's an honor. And, you know, that's probably how people are feeling when they see another round DM like, hey, can we post this? Like, yeah, absolutely. Please.
Yeah, I sent. By the way, I sent back to all of the people, and all of them unanimously did it, and I don't know why. But I said, you guys can absolutely have this posted to anything, but you have to tag me and another round, which had
really?
nothing to do with the video, but they all did it.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. Yeah, I've had a few viral videos that people have reached out and stuff like that, and I've just said, yeah, just tag me. That's all I asked for, because, you know, exposure's big, and it helps out a lot. So you kind of mentioned, and it's so funny because this was my second question. You mentioned how COVID was kind of insane for you, where you thought it was going to close. I actually opened my tackle store during COVID, so it was kind of the same gist where it was booming. But how has your business been since the COVID boom? I'm kind of in behind the scenes in the business world of things, and I know a lot of pro shops and brands and companies are saying, you know, they're back at 2019 numbers or 2018 numbers in terms of revenue, or, you know, they just can't maybe afford what they used to do because they were expecting this COVID boom to keep growing, but then now it's kind of plateaued and even tapered off. So in terms of just like your business or revenue or whatever, have you noticed a drop off, or have you guys been consistently climbing year after year and kind of have gotten over that hump from I guess COVID successfully?
Yeah, I mean, we were growing like over 100% year over year for the first few years, which that's not sustainable. You can't, you know, you can hope that happens, but it's not going to be the case. And so Kyle and I have been really sort of patient and frugal. Neither of us are trust fund kids. Neither of us, you know, pretend like we've got money. And so during the COVID boom, we obviously wanted to scale with it. We wanted to grow as the thing was growing, but we also didn't make any really stupid decisions on, you know, expanding our store here, buying a building or something, thinking that it was going to be this kind of like infinite growth curve that COVID started. And so, yeah, we're still up over 2019 numbers, and the business is continuing to grow, but it certainly has dropped off. I mean, there was a point in 2021 where it literally didn't matter what you had. If you were releasing something, you were going to sell out. And so I think a lot of places got really in over their head with inventory and with the amount that they were spending on their spaces and expanding them. And then they ended up underwater. So it sucks, but there's a ton of disc golf businesses that are going under now, and or that are scrambling and trying to figure stuff out. And so thankfully we're not. And we've, you know, all of this stuff with these franchises, it's the thing that I'm the most excited about. I just did a couple of weeks ago, we opened Greenville, South Carolina, and Salt Lake City in the same week within 4 days of each other. It just is the way that it worked out in Charlotte. And this like cool thing that we have where it's a disc golf shop and a tap room. It's a third place where people hang out. It's not work. It's not home. It's this other thing where people can gather. That energy and that kind of cool atmosphere is happening all over the country. And, you know, so that's the growth that we want. And it's not, we had two paths that we could go. We could either go the like become a huge warehouse retailer, try to amass a huge inventory, sell everything at MAP pricing and kind of go that route, which felt to us like it would not be an interesting thing to do existentially, just kind of is not our deal. Or this path we're doing now, which is national and international growth through local growth through these individual stores. And so that's where the bulk of our focus is right now. And we'll probably have, just depending on how things go, we'll have probably another 5 or 6 stores that we announce in the next 5 or 6 months. So,
oh my goodness, 5 or 6
what
in
the heck,
dude.
Yeah.
So, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Can you? Yeah. So what?
That's a Funsie exclusive.
Yeah, Funsie
Wow.
exclusive. Because
Heard it
I
here
remember
first.
I went down last summer to record with Joseph, first one to Ace, and you
Nobody
told
aced.
me nobody Ace. And you told me some of the stores, like Salt Lake was one of them. I can say that because it's already out, and a few more that I kind of knew was happening. I believe the South Carolina one was another, but you have 5 to 6 more. That is insane. What is kind of your, I guess, talk about the franchising? What is your goal with it? And I don't know, it's kind of just very intriguing to me. You know, there's going to be in another round. I don't really know if I know Dynamic Discs has like some shops where it's like Dynamic Disc Phoenix, Dynamic Disc Carrollton in Texas. So are you just trying to like be the next Chick-fil-A, or just tell us more about the I know, not Chick-fil-A. I'm just joking. I'm just saying about the franchise.
I mean, I would love Chick-fil-A's money for sure.
But tell us more about like the concept behind it.
Yeah, I think the goal is always to do the next good thing, and we don't have any, you know, we have internal things that we talk about, like, hey, how many stores do you think will be here 5 years from now or whatever. But for us, it's not about putting pins on a map and being like, that's a key disc golf market. Let's really attack trying to get into that. And it's a lot more about like, is it the right people that are interested in doing it? Is it the right time? You know, we don't like to go into some small market or smaller market where there's another great store and end up hurting some other local business. And so, you know, that's been a consideration. But for us, it's like if it's the right people that are involved in it and they have the right heart and they can kind of carry the ethos, for lack of a better term, of our brand, and, you know, they really get it, then we'll explore it. And so we were really intentionally slow. I mean, we get an insane number of franchise requests every week. But for us in the beginning, it was like, we want to really make sure that we nail the concept, make sure that the back end of this thing makes sense and it works. And it's really helping both sides of the thing. And we just wanted to nail it. We wanted to make sure that these first ones captured what we were trying to go for, and now they do. And so now that we're picking up the pace a little bit, accepting more people that are interested. And you know, the cool thing is the people that want to do this, they immediately have access to this network of other store owners. And, you know, we're sharing like, hey, how many Nords did you guys get? It's like, well, I think we should only get you know, it's all of that kind of like super duper inside baseball stuff that are hard conversations to have with, you know, with other people in the industry, because people are kind of close to the vest. And so I don't know. I think the goal for me legitimately, even though it sounds a little coy, is like, just whatever the next good thing is, we want to do it.
And just one more follow-up question before we go to Sajko's question. So say I'm just like a random person and I want to start a disc golf store. What benefit would it be to me to go franchise with another round? I guess what's your kind of sales
What's
pitch?
the pitch?
Yeah.
Well, luckily it's not a lot of sales pitchy stuff, because it's people that are coming to us, right? That want to do this. And so the people that are approaching understand that the brand carries a certain kind of recognition and value to it, and that, you know, it gives people an extreme leg up versus, you know, if you want to start, we'll just use Des Moines, which is not somewhere that we have plans for, but like, if you want to start Des Moines Disc Golf Shop, you can do that. And, you know, there have been times where we've talked to people, and I think and I've even told people before, I think in this area, you might just be better off kind of doing it on your own, or just their kind of personality or whatever. But I think it puts people 5 or 6 years ahead. When we announced in Salt Lake City 6 or 7 months before the grand opening, Ben, who's incredible, who is the store owner there, we announced teaming around Salt Lake stuff for like the local team sponsorship stuff. He had 110 people on his team before he'd opened the doors to the store. And, you know, when we opened in Greenville, we did the same thing, same deal with the sponsorships and the kind of support and the people that were stoked about, you know, being a part of another round and all that kind of carries with it. And then on our grand opening day, there were just like legitimately hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that came that were stoked, because a lot of these, this is going to be like nonprofit language, but a lot of these disc golf communities are severely underserved. You know, they may have a Play It Again or a big box store or something like that, but a lot of times it's kind of like extraction from the disc golf community. There's a community here, and there's no kind of investment back into it. And so, you know, I think we've been able to do some really incredible things in all these cities that we're in. And I think that people really understand and see that vision and kind of believe, I think that we have pure intentions in it. Kyle and I, if we were selling silly bands or whatever, you can make money a lot faster than doing local brick and mortar disc golf shops in 2024. But you know, we believe in this big time because we're seeing how much it means to people.
I have a question, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah.
So when you franchise in another round for like Salt Lake City or Denver or whatever, what is your role or Kyle's role in that? Is it like the owner has like most of the control and you guys are just big picture, or are you guys involved in some of the more day-to-day things sometimes?
Yeah. So it's 100% of ownership at the local level, and then both sides of the agreement are kind of incentivized to grow the thing. But we thought that was really important because we didn't want to be like a kind of big conglomerate that was cookie cuttering shops in all these places and owning them. Because that to me, it needed to be owned by somebody local and for the local community. And then we kind of put the full weight of our brand behind it. So the way that works with Kyle and I in terms of involvement. So I'm unbelievably involved in the beginning portions of this, meaning like all the way through 2 months after being open. All the brand push, all the announcement stuff, all the launch stuff, all the looking for locations and what square footage should we get and what should our rent be and what can a disc golf shop support and all that kind of stuff. That's, I spend hundreds of hours on the phone with all these people in the lead up. That's the kind of behind the scenes stuff that nobody sees. I think people assume that I just live on a disc golf course and throw 114 foot shot aces, that's my biggest thing. At some point we'll have to have somebody else that's helping open stores, and I'll have to kind of elevate even a little higher than where I am now. But I think that's my role. It's been my role, and it's been something that I've been really glad to do because I wanted my hands to be really, really involved in all of these, because I think it's important to really know what you're doing and believe in it, and it not just be some kind of, I don't know. I didn't want to just kind of lead this thing abstractly. I wanted it to be very like concrete in the mud kind of stuff. And then Kyle, thankfully, he's the sort of like administrative processes. He gets in the weeds with people. Also we've got 2 salaried guys that work in the warehouse here in Charlotte, Avery and Luke. The whole team is really in the weeds with people being like, okay, now what do we need to do for a used program? And how do we really execute all the point of sale stuff and make sure that all the systems are in place? That's the kind of like minutia that's deeply important that that's where my brain turns off a little bit. So it's been a really good, our personalities and the staff that we have here. It works really well.
Very cool.
Joseph, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit, and what are your thoughts on the current state of disc golf social media, whether that's trends or popularity or style, and where do you feel like you guys fit in all that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that we I don't think we reinvented the wheel, but I think that we did sort of start or at least initiate this current kind of like micro content stuff on Instagram, where you got the disc on the screen and promote something and it's a cool shot and it's really bite sized. And I think when I got into it, there was a lot of fluff in content stuff where it's like you're talking before the shots and you're lining the thing up forever and there's no music behind it. It's not viewable. It's like we're way past that in terms of our attention span. And so I think to broaden this, which is what you're really asking, I think we're at a really cool time for content creators, because I think in a lot of cases, content creators are worth as much or more than some of the like mid to lower level pros that are just happen to be out on the road, and happen to be better than, probably most content creators. But the thing that's cool is that, for somebody like, well, I won't even make it a specific thing. If you're just a content creator and you don't have to be in an RV and shower in Planet Fitness and drive 11 hours to get somewhere and then practice a course and all that, really your entire focus can be adding value to your sponsors. And so the thing that, like with Bedanza getting a pretty decent deal with Infinite and things like that, I think there's going to be a lot more of that stuff that's happening. I think there is an enormous amount of value in somebody that's not promoting themselves as a pro, but is promoting the stuff that, the people that sponsor them, and that's kind of their primary focus. And then providing entertainment becomes like the, at least 1A, 1B kind of thing. But yeah, it is interesting to me, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Another round's trying to pivot a little bit away from the micro stuff being most of what we do and start to do some more long form stuff, kind of get out of the like, what's up YouTube, all that kind of stuff that's like kind of cheesy, but gets a lot of likes and gets a lot of views and you can hack the algorithm, and more into stuff that's thoughtful and that is a little more cerebral and tells good stories, versus like, this is what the algorithm Cookie Monster wants, and I'm just going to put it in there, and 79 quick cuts, and I'm coming in from this side, I'm going in from that side, all that stuff that's like, it's popular, but I don't think it's lasting, and I don't think it actually matters. And so that's a little me being 36 and, on my way to being a boomer. But I think that the thing that we're going to try to do is to have a lot more well-rounded kind of content thing that we're doing.
Yeah, kind of touching on that. Like, what do you feel that Another Round does well as a brand? And what else do you think that you guys could improve on?
Most of what we do is pointed at the casual player. We sponsor pros. I am friends with a lot of pros. I love, I have nothing bad to say about the Pro Tour, but I think most of disc golf media is focused on Pro Tour stuff. And I think the general disc golf zeitgeist, I think people care way, way, way less than, disc golf media generally thinks. And so most of what we do is focused on like the life of the game that happens on courses all over the country, park style and, fun pitch and putt kind of stuff. And so I think we've done a good job at promoting that side of things, like pointing all of our media focus toward that. I think we have not done a very good job at longer form stuff. YouTube has been something that's been sort of an afterthought. We're trying to do a little bit better, kind of like slowly feed the Cookie Monster thing as we're preparing for some of the bigger, more, more thoughtful stuff. But that's the side of it that I want to do a heck of a lot better. But we've also, Kyle and I aren't trust fund kids. Another Round isn't just like sitting on $10 million of cash to produce documentaries that we want to do and stuff. So we're going to have to kind of grow our way into it. And we got a lot of cool stuff planned, but it's going to take some time.
I do appreciate you saying that, because that's kind of what I look for in disc golf as well. I remember in our first episode, Josh ended up asking me, he's like, Nathan, do you really play tournaments? And I do on occasion, but I feel like I mostly just like to hang out with my friends and meet people on the course, which I kind of like you touched on. I think a lot of people are in that same boat as well. But there does seem to be a huge focus on pros, whether that's us trying to get as good as them or even just the plastic that we end up putting in our bags.
Yeah. Well, and like I'm not going to call you Jay Millie because that's internet
What?
nickname.
That's his name.
That'll be Sajko.
No, that's fine. I will. I'll call him Jay Millie.
I'm kidding.
Like I think a cool thing for you is similar to what Bodanza is doing, where it's like tournaments are just like a content platform for you. You don't actually care if you get to pro tour level of whatever, but it's a objective that you can reach and people can follow along with. Obviously you care, but I'm not saying you're not like losing sleep on not becoming the next Gannon Burr.
I'm not on the ground.
Yeah. So I think there's a way to do it as a content creator that is that kind of brings people along the journey. I think that is a worthwhile thing to do. But you know, this idea of, I think so much of the pro tour in the last 10 years has been people that are already kind of like vagabond style, like I just want to get out, wanderlust kind of people, and are okay with showering at Planet Fitness and you know, finding a parking spot to sleep in and all that kind of stuff. I think that kind of lifestyle is not really all that attractive to a lot of people. And so if the pinnacle of disc golf as a media person or as somebody that's trying to get into it is, I really want to get out there, and for 7 months or 8 months out of the year, I want to drive from little town to town and, you know, and do that. I don't think that that's all that compelling of a story for a lot of people, and certainly not projecting on everybody. Obviously, it could be really fun in your early 20s or something, but I think there's other paths that are just as legitimate and can add just as much value. And I think that there's going to be a lot of sponsors. Like Funsie Pod at some point will probably have like a big paying sponsor. I'm putting this into the universe for you. We'll have some big paying sponsor that, you know, you guys will have a ton of viewers and you guys will be talking about things that matter. And you might make, this podcast might make more than a mid-tier pro because it's more valuable to the person that's doing it. And so I'm trying to kind of point the attention, kind of spread the attention out a little bit from just being pro tour and pros for disc golf media stuff.
Yeah. My big thing, and I think you guys do it very well, is story is king when it comes to creating content. And there's a lot of valuable stories in disc golf outside of pro tour. Like you mentioned, I play like events like in my videos where I'm trying to get to the pro tour or whatever, because that is a compelling story. You know,
For sure.
I think why a lot of people like Anthony Bodanza is because he went from, you know, MA3, MA2 to, you know, playing in Silver Series, and people were so bought in on Brody because Brody was like already a content guy. And then, you know, at some point, not really this year, but like last year, he was getting top 10, top 5 sometimes. And it was like so cool to see that. And so everything has a story. It's just keying in on it. And like, you care, like you yourself, the person doing the thing cares. Like I care about winning a tournament, but it's making someone else care about it and telling that story, because I think it's very fun and enjoyable. Like that's why we have movies and TV shows and all that. You're just watching someone else's story.
Here's one quick thing I'll say is that we had one of the biggest YouTubers in the actual world, the person who
Mr.
is
Beast?
that is the person who is like in charge of that YouTuber's, like their whole operation, was the first person that this individual hired or whatever, and reached out to us and was like, hey, I want to give you a couple like little tips on some YouTube stuff. I helped grow this person's thing from nothing to this massive empire or whatever. But he said, what I don't want you to do is, I don't want you to try to do all of the trend kind of things. It's like the reason that I enjoy, because he's just a disc golfer, he's like, the reason I enjoy what you guys do is because me and my wife put on your YouTube rounds on Saturday mornings, and it's like in the background of what we're doing, and it's chill, and the kind of atmosphere that it creates is like, it's different than the other pacing and the like swoosh sounds and stuff. He's like, so keep doing that because that's your thing. And that's, so I think ultimately, and I told somebody this yesterday, some guy reached out to me on my personal Instagram, was like, what would your tips be for content? It's like, whatever's compelling to you, whatever you enjoy making and you'd enjoy watching, just do that. And, obviously the internet will tell you if it's valuable. If you're not getting any kind of following or no views, then you might want to pivot, or you might want to change, not do it anymore. But that is the thing that I think, whatever you find interesting and whatever you legitimately enjoy doing, just keep on doing that, because that's a kind of contagious thing. If you're doing it because it's what the algorithm wants, or it's what they're telling you to do, I think that ultimately people can sense that, and it's a little too hungry for people. I think people don't want to follow people that are that kind of I don't know, thirsty for attention or something.
Definitely.
Yeah, I kind of, to go off that, I've always thought the same thing when it comes to my content. It's just like, I just want to make content that I enjoy making at the end of the day. I could try and get the millions of views or the 100,000s of views, but if I'm not actually enjoying it, I'm not going to make it. That's the thing. So I got to be actively enjoying it to make the content. And if it gets views, obviously the views are great. I want the views. I want people to enjoy my content and stuff like that. But I'm not going to make a I don't even know an example of something that's just like not in my kind of wheelhouse that I wouldn't have made if I'm chasing like a trend. I wouldn't do that, because I just like being creative and doing what I love, and kind of having my own kind of lane, I guess, when it comes to that sort of content.
Well, if you keep pushing and you keep doing it, eventually you'll find your crowd. In the beginning, posting stuff, we had 100 people a week that were like, we're not buying this being the first shot, like intentionally misrepresenting what the content is, which
Hilarious.
is like, obviously I'm not trying to promote myself as a disc golfer. This is what these discs ideally can do, or whatever. And so in the very beginning, I think there was a lot of people that were like deciding on what they thought about the content, and there was a lot of hate comments and all that stuff. But like, I calculated this last week for somebody that asked, in the last 30 days, we've had over 40 million Reels views. And like, if you take the outliers out of it, it's still like the average per reel is insane. And so if you just stay in your lane, you keep doing your thing, like, don't like it, we'll eventually be like, well, I'm certainly not stopping them by not liking this. They'll kind of fall off, and then you've got your crowd, and then it's that's the part of it that's been cool to me, is that like there is an audience for this. Just find your audience.
Find your audience. Sajko, is that all you had for Joseph?
No, I have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I know people in my life that have flown down to Charlotte just to go visit all the courses and visit another round, and I've had people in my life that just don't even they know what disc golf is, but they don't follow it, and they'll just your video on Instagram.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, which is super cool. But I was curious, what would you like people to take away from another round when they watch one of your reels or any of your content, or even just visit one of your stores?
I think what's going on, it's like, I heard somebody describe smoking recently as like, it's the reason that people do it is because it's a breathing exercise. You have to walk outside, and for like 8 or 10 minutes, you're doing controlled breathing. And I think that, and you should probably not smoke. Just, I'll say that parenthetically. I think the reason,
vape, though, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. This is actually, that's going to be your first sponsor, is Juul. The thing that I think is going on with disc golf is that it is an excuse for people to get out in the woods and be quiet and walk. And I've got some friends that are therapists that do this thing called therapeutic nature walks, and they were explaining this to me the other day, where they're walking with clients and stuff, and they're like, we're not even necessarily talking about specific things that are going on or diagnosable things. It's just kind of being in nature and walking with someone. And I'm like, yeah, it's disc golf is what you're describing. It's just minus the Frisbee part. And so the thing that I would want people to take away that maybe are not have never played disc golf, or maybe not interested in it, is that like they should try it. It's a thing that is, I think it is more important for our mental health than most people are realizing. I think that is more of a reason why we keep doing it than people understand. And so get out there and chuck some frisbees. And that's why I think it's so important to keep fun really centered in disc golf, because if you're going, I know so many people, and I've talked to so many people that have messaged me and said, like, you unlocked the joy of disc golf for me again. Because I think when there is this kind of like, what's the game, Candyland, when there's just like every step leads to Pro Tour, and you are somewhere either between absolute noodle and Pro Tour, then like your path is somewhere in a continuum from that to Pro Tour. I think it robs the joy of what disc golf can be. And so if you got so many people that are in C tiers and they're trying to put like, none of this would have been possible without Opelika Jiffy Lube and making their after their tournament, post and thanking their sponsors. And I missed 79 inside the circle putts, or else I would have been right there in it. That's a drudgery, and that sucks, and that's not fun. And every weekend of your life, you're mad that you didn't win something, versus like the joy of this game is getting out in the woods and chucking frisbees and watching something that's I have a disc somewhere around here. That's this weird object fly and like seemingly defy what should be possible. Like, that's the fun of this thing. So get out there and do that. And whatever the like way you enjoy that most is, just do that. If you love scoring and you want to like put your score in UDisc and be like, man, this year I improved at my home course by 7 strokes, then do that. Or just get out there and like throw a Rolo and go, holy crap, what the heck does that thing do? That's the whole deal for me.
I love it.
That's I like that analogy, kind of the Candyland. Some people that is fun to them, just getting better and getting as good as they can, and that's fine too. But some people, it's just it's okay to not compete and just go out with your buddies, like you're saying, get fresh air, throw a few Rolos or glitches or whatever it may be. I think that's super awesome, and definitely something that needs to be heard, that even if you can only throw, noodle arm, as you said, doesn't matter. Disc golf's for everyone.
You can superimpose the name of the hooligan disc that you keep posting about whenever I said Rolo. You can just put your voice over it, saying whatever it is.
I'll make
flip.
it happen.
Yeah, when are you gotta start throwing the flip. You gotta make a video with the flip, and you gotta get hooligan discs into your warehouse. We'll talk.
In my opinion, the flip is more flippy than the Rolo. And that's my hot take.
That's what I'm saying, Joseph.
You have my full attention. Yeah, tell Garrett to reach out, but he's going to have to open up his wallet a little bit.
I'll tell him to reach out. Obviously, he's with a new manufacturer, no longer with Lone Star, but the flip.
Gateway. They announced it now that Gateway's making their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's super exciting. A lot of great, awesome things going on, and hopefully the flip returns. But yeah, we got to get. We got the threads coming out, and the vibe is already out. Anyways,
heck yeah.
So I have one more question, I believe, and then Jay Millie, if you have any more to kind of top it off, and we can kind of end the show. Any fun stories that have happened while growing this company, business wise, and on the inverse, any stories where you had to overcome adversity and something that like kept you up at night and thought it was going to be the end of the world, that you kind of got over and are look back on and be like, that, I'm glad I went through it because I saw the other side and it was worth it.
Yeah, if you're a small business owner and you're listening to this, or a mid-sized business owner and you're listening to this, you're laughing because every week there's something that feels like an existential threat to the company.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a million of those, and there's a million cool stories. I mean, I think the whole thing is like figuring out your why for what you're doing, and like keeping all of the stuff that sounds trite, keeping it really, really in focus. For me, somebody in Denver told me that like he had lived there for like 8 years, had no friends, only had some people that he would, casually talk to, small talk at work. And he's like, now I have 7 or 8 people, all that I've met in this Frisbee store, that I could call at 3:00 in the morning if I was in kind of a mental health crisis, and they would drive to my house immediately. And it's all because of disc golf. So if I can keep that as like the focus, then all the other stuff, like a compelling story is not like amassing a ton of money. Nobody would want to read that that story. Like, cool, you stacked a lot of cash. Good stuff.
You signed paper.
Good deal, guys.
Whoa, what just happened? What is that?
I just thought that.
I don't know. I don't know why that happens, but it happened on a FaceTime call with me the other day. If you do thumbs up, I don't know.
You stacked cash and then a random thumbs up bubble. That was weird.
But anyway,
That was funny, dude.
all the other stuff is the most important. And then I probably need to jump. I'm gonna go film. Do you know Michael Molt?
Yeah.
I'm filming. He's completely open bag. He's gonna be sponsored by us this year, and we're gonna film something here in a second. And I've already made him wait 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. You can jump up. I have a question about that. Is there any reason he's just starting over with a completely new channel? Is there a reason for that?
I think he's talked about this before, but he transitioned. He's got like a trillion followers or subscribers on one of his things, his gaming stuff. He started another one that was like a lifestyle thing with him and his wife. He converted that into disc golf, so he had like 100,000 subs on it. But the views and stuff were not. He wanted to just start fresh, and
that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. All right, well, Joseph, thanks so much for coming on, and we appreciate your wise wisdom. I feel like at this moment from going forth, you are now Master Splinter to us. I call being Leonardo. And you guys, J Millie and Sajko, you can choose. So yeah, you are now our sensei in this world of disc golf business and creation.
This is huge for me. Thank you guys for having me on. And you guys all know individually that I'm stoked about your stuff. And glad that you guys exist. I'm glad the pod exists. You guys need to get patches made of the little Funsie thing. I'll put it on my bag. Good on you. Yeah, but do a Velcro patch.
Yeah.
And yeah, anytime you guys want me to, if Nathan comes up, or should I say Sajko comes up with another segment, and if I need to call in from time to time, I'm happy to do it.
Sweet.
Sounds
awesome.
great.
Thanks so much.
All right,
Joseph.
brothers. See y'all.
Appreciate it. See you later.
Peace.
Take care, man.
Well, that was honestly, I hope anyone who was listening to that got a lot of inside knowledge. It was super poetic. You can tell he was passionate about what he was talking about. And yeah, it was a lot of good advice and insight, whether you have your own business or just love disc golf. I thought it was really cool, and he really dove deep. So it was kind of a awesome interview. What did you guys think?
Man has his hand in every aspect of another round. So we're able to touch on like the business side, able to touch on the social media side, just every single part of it, which is just cool because I mean they're kind of a powerhouse in Fruity Pebbles. What the heck? They're kind of a powerhouse in the overall disc golf sphere.
Yeah, no, Joseph definitely is very smart, and he all the things he's done is very calculated, and it's been kind of incredible to see the rise of the round, and his brand to me proves that content is like a main driver to success in business and anything, but it's a main, like, if you want to be successful, you have to make content. In my opinion, if you own a business, like whether it's real estate, you have to, make videos of your home and stuff like that. I think, it's a good point to show that the reason he can franchise these things is because these franchisees realize this guy has a huge following already, and I can, tap into that just by partnering with him without really any, like he said, it's like 5 to 6 years advance if you go franchise right off the bat with them. So it was really cool. Yeah. So J Millie, did you have anything or?
Yeah, Joseph was actually one of the first people that ever reached out to me, like when I started.
Dude, he does
content.
that. That's the thing.
Yeah,
he does that.
Him and from Trash Panda were like
Jesse,
the first two people to like talk to me while I was doing my stuff and be like, hey, what's up, dude? Good job. And I was like, wow, this is a surreal experience. He's just on top of stuff. He knows what he's talking about. Not a word came out of his mouth that I wasn't like facts, So I think he will be on the show again to just
Yeah.
talk about other things because I think he's just an all-around solid dude who knows a lot about disc golf, knows a lot about content, knows a lot about business,
Everything.
and
Yeah.
he's wise master splinter.
And you can tell he just cares, even just
Yeah,
about
for
us
sure.
as individuals and just the sport and just the community.
Well, that's the
Just
thing.
nice
I
to
was gonna. It's so funny because he is our master splinter, but we've all been contacted by Joseph
Mhm.
as in a support when we had no idea who he was, which I think is just such a testament to his character. He doesn't care if you are getting millions of views, 0 views. If he likes something, he reaches out and like he just does that. That's cool. Now I know he's done it to you, Jamie. Like, he's done it to me where he's like, "Hey, awesome video. You know, let's do one." It was about the Ace. Like, "Hey, if you want to do one down here," and I actually took him up on the opportunity. I was like, "Yeah, I'll come next month." And then even like Sajko with his videos. Sajko, you can probably talk more about it, but I know like you posted a video maybe like 6 months or to a year ago, and he just called you. You guys talked for 40 minutes. He didn't know who you are. It wasn't like this. You're not like this top tier like level pro. It's just he cares about disc golf and he cares about people, and that is a cool thing he does. Is he just probably reaches out and be like, "Good job, dude. You're incredible."
Right. Yeah. As busy as he is, he always seems to make time for just
He's
whether
on
it's
the
this
pulse.
podcast or giving us, like giving me a call. Like you said, you probably talked for like 45 minutes and never had talked prior.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
So
he's doing it right.
Yeah, we should probably wrap this up. At some point,
I think so.
Sajko, is there anything you wanna? I know you had a few points, but maybe pick your favorite point that you wanna, or we can go straight into the viewer
I
question.
think I think we do the question and then
right.
just save everything else for the next
All right, yeah,
week,
let's go
right?
to the viewer question. It's run long. Jamie Lee has to work. Go back to work, and me too.
Oh,
honestly,
I got you. I actually ended up taking this one from my wife Kiara. So she ended up asking, since none of us.
Biased.
You mean Yara Sajko?
It was a good question, man. Since none of us grew up in disc golf, like what were our hobbies like growing up?
Ben, you want to start? You want me to
go? You go, Jamie Lee.
He says sure and then says you go.
Yo.
Sorry. Okay, so
playing both sides.
Okay, my hobbies growing up, I have always just been an outdoorsy guy. I love sports. I played probably anything you can think of, at least in elementary up until grade school. Grade school is elementary. Up until high school.
It's okay. We'll let it slide.
Up until we're all a little
loopy. And so coming into high school, I was about 5 foot, or 5 foot under until junior year. So my mom wouldn't let me play football, which was devastating to me. So I played a little bit of baseball, and then I was also in choir and orchestra. Those are my extracurriculars. I want to say those are my hobbies. I've always been into YouTube, and I guess that kind of shows with like what I'm doing now, like making YouTube videos. I've always just been into watching YouTube, the culture behind it, the analytics, the business, the community that it can build. It's weird to say that YouTube's been my hobby for a long time, but I would honestly say it has. And my personality is the personality of I can have fun doing whatever and whenever we're doing it, as long as I'm with the homies or my wife or spending quality time with someone new. It really doesn't matter what I'm doing. So I guess I would say YouTube and cultivating relationships have been my hobbies, which are probably the most random answers ever, but that's what I'm getting.
Cop out, Ben. What do you got?
No, you gave a lot. That was good.
No, that was good.
For me, yeah. So originally it was basketball. I wanted to be in the NBA just like everyone. I practiced hard, read Larry Bird Drive, and I played other sports like baseball, tennis. I think that's basketball. I think that's it. Tennis. I feel like I'm missing soccer. Okay, that's what it was. So I played all like the seasonal sports, but basketball was my passion. I want to get really good, but I just never was good enough, no matter how hard I tried. And then I transitioned into making music. So I still have an artist page. You can look it up. It's Ben Kenny. Not the bassist from Incubus. It's another one. So if you land on that page and it says like top song eulogy, that's not me. My top songs, Wavy Like the Ocean. So you can check that out. So then that was a little run I had of trying to make it in music. And then now in 2021, I just completely just ditched music and found disc golf and slowly just transitioned out of it. And now I'm trying to make it in disc golf. And fortunately, disc golf has been my most successful venture so far, and I'm very, very happy of it. And it's my favorite one so far. I mean, I've always said like I've truly known what it takes to like love something and be passionate about it, that you want to get better and you want to do it. So I didn't really have that in basketball and music. Now that I realize, it was always like kind of like a battle between me, like, oh, I should go practice. But disc golf, it's like, no, I'll do it and I'll stay out there and I'll do it nonstop. And I just love disc golf. Disc golf's the best. And I love you, disc golf. Thanks for everything. You're the best, disc golf. Mwah.
I'm supposed to follow that up.
Oh wait, I want to give a quick shout out to Kim Sakowitz, Scott Brissett,
My father-in-law, yeah.
Yara Sacco, even though it's Yara Brissett on the comments, and Frick, the sister. Don't tell me.
Juliana, close enough.
Oh, okay, good. Juliana. Yeah, the Sacco family literally loves Funsie, and they're our biggest fans. So shout out to all of them. Thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you. For me, I also just like played sports when I was really young, just kind of like in elementary school. But I was just never a sports guy, really. Like I played them, but I just didn't enjoy doing them. I just did them because my friends were doing them. So then I kind of went away from that, and I became like a Boy Scout. I did Boy Scouts for a long time, and I really just enjoyed being outside, just doing all that fun stuff, going camping. And then my big hobbies, I was always really good at drawing. Drew anime like crazy. Like back in the day, I actually had
Manga
like
mooch.
yep, an anime drawing page where that's just what I would do. And then I was a musician. I guess I still am, but I was in a band for a long time, like a screamo band. It was called Northern Life. But then some members
So
ended
poetic,
up getting
bro. So deep.
caught up and just pursued other things. So then we do actually have new music project that's coming out soon where, like I wrote all the guitar and bass, and then the drummer is the other member. So kind of exciting for that to come out, but just get away from it because it's difficult for any band to exist. I mean, you all have to get along with each other and be wanting to put in work simultaneously. It's not like something like us making content for this where we can just, whenever we have time, just make something, or like reliant on ourselves to put out things. Like you all have to be on the same page, which is very difficult. So the fact that any band exists is kind of a miracle.
We're kind of like a band ourselves. What's our band name?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't have.
And who's
Funsie
the,
Folk.
I got enough.
Who's the
Yeah,
Funsie
exactly.
Folk.
Oh yeah,
We're a
Funsie
folk
Folk,
band.
son. Funsie Folk. Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, music, drawing. I was always like the artistic, weird kid in like my group of friends, where everyone would be like, "Yo, let's go play basketball," and I'm like, "No, I'm gonna go
And you
draw
were the ball
anime or
kid.
something weird."
Always. I don't think you've ever had hair, even at 6.
Yeah, I pop out the womb with just like a widow's peak. Yeah, but yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Yo, let's wrap this.
Yeah, let's
up.
wrap it up. We gotta do picks real quick. I don't know. It's just gonna have to be kind of like a sporadic pick. I didn't really have time to think about it, but obviously I'm going Kristen Tatar, and I'll go. Dude, I want to say like Eagle, but I don't know. I'll just go Gannon. I guess Gannon. Jim Millie, go ahead.
I'm gonna go Paul and Kristen,
Paul
and
Kranz.
it can be whatever Paul you want.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna go
Paul,
Gannon
I'm in
because
for you.
I'm gonna go Gannon because he had a struggle putting week, so he's probably gonna win. And then I'm gonna go Missy Gannon because she shredded Ledgestone like the past 2 years.
So you're gonna go Gannon and Gannon.
Oh,
Yo, Gannon squared.
Gannon squared. All right.
Which one of us will get it right first? Tune in next week.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah, shout out everyone. Thanks for joining. Like I said, if the audio was messed up, apologies. I'm gonna check it out now. I know the voice was delayed. I'm working on it. You know, this is tough. It's been hours of work that I still have yet to figure it out. But shout out to the boys, Jamie and Sajko. Thanks for joining. Shout out Joseph. It was an incredible episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, rate us on Spotify, Apple, whatever you listen to our podcast on, and comment below in YouTube any of your favorite moments. That'd be awesome. And follow us on Instagram and all that. And thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week for another
Funsie.
Peace.
Bye.
You had to say it, Sajko.
No.
Okay.
End the episode.